Would like for you to introduce yourself in the chat box. Tell us where you're joining us from, and also basically sharing with us if you have a technical experience or not in this field. So let's know. Let's know. Are you a newbie transitioning to tech, or are you already into tech and you just want to know more about the other areas you can delve into in tech? So let us get to hear from you quickly before we go on. Please, before we also go on, would like you to extend this invitation to your friends. We want you to get your network to join the call as well. So I'm going to be pasting the link in the chat box for you to invite your friends to join us this evening. Yes, so we have the link in the chat box. Please kindly invite your network, your friends, your colleague. You don't know who this might be helping. Get them to join the call because we are going to be talking about the DevOps tools, HR expectations, that they think that you should have in this 2026. So please get as many people as possible to join the call before we proceed this evening. And I'm sure that it's going to be an amazing time today. Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead, introduce our I was going to say instructor, but yes, it's not an instructor today. I'm going to be introducing our guest speaker for this session this evening, and then we can get right into it. Okay, so we have Olumuyiwa, who is a certified AWS Cloud DevOps professional engineer. He's an experienced research engineer skilled in building secured cloud infrastructure for excellent service delivery. He's excited to integrate his skills into his current role as a cloud DevOps engineer, where he works independently and collaboratively implementing cloud solutions to drive digital enterprise transformation, to drive enterprise digital transformation. Okay, so I believe that this is one person. If you have been following him on LinkedIn, he is so loud about the cloud, talking about cloud, talking about DevOps, and he's in the right position basically to talk about what the DevOps tools are if you are going to be transitioning into DevOps today. So he is in that right position to talk to you about that. So, and I believe that we are also ready to learn. Get your pen ready, get your notepad ready, because it's going to be an amazing time. Like I said, I just want him to have the floor so that he can take his time into talking about the necessary tools needed for you all who are going to be making that decision to transition into tech. And I'm sure that some of our students might also be on this call as well listening. So without further ado, I'm just going to be handing over to Olumuyiwa, who is also an instructor. He's been in this space for quite a long time, and believe you want to pay attention to him this evening. All right, thank you so much, Olumuyiwa, for joining us this evening. It's amazing to have you with us. I'm just going to be handing over to you right now to take over from here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Can you all hear me correctly? Am I coming out?
Perfectly.
Sounding good? Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. Talking about being very, very loud about cloud. Yeah, I think I'm just very passionate about it, and I've firsthand see how having these skills, how it can literally change your life, and how you can build career out of it. So I'm kind of like very passionate about it, and I get to share that using LinkedIn, mostly to share my passion for cloud, just to make people aware and also to help in any way I could. Thanks for having me today. I do have a slide to just guide me as I have this conversation with you today. Sorry, it's 1 second. Share my screen, and then I can. So, can you all see my screen? Sorry, I can only see
Yes,
this
we
my
can.
screen that I'm sharing. Okay. So I couldn't see thumbs up or anything like that. It just took me to to the deck directly. Thanks for confirming that. Yes, so as we mentioned in the flyers and peradventure you didn't see the flyers. I also had the flyers right here in the slide. The topic we'll be talking on today is, how you can advance your career with DevOps. And I know we have different folks on the call, people that are exploring the career paths, cloud, DevOps, and SRE as related, or platform engineering, as some people will call it. Um, and also, I know we also have some of our Cloud Booster students that maybe have completed their training and looking forward into their first career in DevOps. And also, I also prepare this talk to even be beneficial for someone that count themselves as a junior engineer. Maybe they've been working even as a junior DevOps, and they've been thinking how can they step up, how can they move up the ladder, what are the skills needed to get out of that phase, being able to like confidently you know talk about you know um, DevOps, and also operating at a more senior level when it comes to DevOps. So I prepared these, making it like a practical blueprint as I could, things that I believe it will help you to move beyond to knowledge to becoming trusted engineering impact. And I will be unpacking that. I know there are some buzzword there, but I will be unpacking that with you. Just a little bit about myself. Thanks for the introduction again. Yeah, my name is Olumuyiwa Kolayemi. I'm a cloud delivery consultant. Here I work with Slalom Consulting. Is my company. Uh, we work with a lot of enterprise organization, very big, a lot of big enterprise Fortune 500 organization, and we are working alongside with them to, you know, um, look into like modernization, their software delivery service. Some organization they have application that has been built for a long time. They, modernizing it, and they're also like leveraging the new way of software delivery, DevOps and all these new tools. So I've been doing a lot of modernization projects. I've also helped organizations to migrate their data databases from data center or their on-prem service to the cloud. So I also have that experience, fully cloud operation and how things works. And in my first job before joining Slalom, was a junior uh, cloud system engineer, which is more like a SRE role, where I get to and do a lot of cloud operations. So today, what I plan to target today is that I will be, share how engineers can move beyond, entry level. And even if you're looking into entry level, how you can show up strong, in your pursuit of that entry level, and how, trying to shift your focus into the practical skills needed, the system thinking required, and also the curiosity that you need to show in this new AI era that we find ourselves. At the same time, how you can, ensure your work is not just trying to speak for itself, but you have a lot of visibilities about the good work you are doing and how can you make it, known, whether within the organization, if you are already a junior engineer, or if you are just looking for your entry level role, how you can, make people, hiring manager to take notes of, of your work and how you can deliver, impact. And all of this is all about business impact. Don't let us forget that organization will bring you in because there is a problem and they need problem solver. They need someone that can help, solve those problems. So the overall goal today, is when you get that role is for you to be able to, make that business impact, that is help the organization solve that business problem. So just a starter here, and I want to be sure we capture all of that. I just want to know, like, can you relate to this point that I highlighted in this slide? You know, and I'm trying to be aware of people that uh, maybe this is their maybe first time hearing DevOps as well, but maybe you've heard about, oh, you need certifications, this number of certifications to to get a job, or even maybe you have quite a number of certifications, right? Or let's say in your journey you started, you have a lot of like GitHub repo that is filled with like simple labs of like how to build this, but it's lacking like system thinking projects, right? Or maybe tools, oh, I know GitHub, I know Azure DevOps, I know GitHub Actions, all those like fancy words, but you still struggle to explain the why, why you choose that tools or why you prefer that particular solution, or what are your trade-off, right? You still struggle to explain, your reason, maybe in an interview, right? And maybe your job application or your resume, just sound like everyone else right now. Everyone is using AI to write their resume. Maybe your job applications or resume are not really standing out the way it is. If you fall in this category, then today's webinar is definitely for you. I plan to highlight, how you can position yourself, to show up strong, and whether you are just looking into your first entry level job, or if you're already a junior engineer, how you can show up strong within your organization to to be known for someone that can deliver and also gain the visibilities that will really get it to the leadership, which will help you to get promoted and climb that career ladder that we are all looking forward to. So let's start with this conversation. What does it mean to advance with DevOps, right? And I won't imagine that everyone here knows about DevOps. But just from the word, I'm going to quickly just talk about it. Uh, Looking from the word DevOps is actually a marriage of two words here, which is development and operations. Earlier back in the days, software developers, they write their code and they hand it over to the system operator, system engineers, then to operate it and to run it and to continue to support it. And then there's a new model where we actually like let's break that wall, let's collaborate, let's have a DevOps engineer that will be able to be that bridge between having a good understanding of what the software engineers want, how they want to run their code, where they want to run it, and also have a good understanding about operating and operationalizing those software that is being built. So that is the whole idea. And all of this is hinged on this word called SDLC, Software Delivery Life Cycle. So when a software is being built, definitely you need to deliver it. That is, get it in the hand of the users, of the people that will actually use those applications, and also gather the feedback, improve it, and then continue that cycle again, monitor it, see how it's behaving, see how people are actually able to assess it. If people are having problem, you're able to quickly solve those problems, triage it. So that is the whole concept of DevOps, and is a very good career path. It's always challenging and always something new to learn. So when we talk about DevOps advancement, whether you are a new entry or you are already in this role, uh, I kind of like make this like a formula, kind of like what you really need in this, at least in 2026. Now is you need the skills. Definitely, you need the core skills. And I know I was watching the other previous um, webinar where Gbemisola Joe really like went in depth about all this, core DevOps workflow, the skills, the tools that you need. So I won't be going in depth in that, but you need to have those core DevOps skills, that cut across the software delivery lifecycle, right? And then now, when you have the skills, when how to code, how to build, and how to write Terraform templates, or infrastructure as code, and all those good skills that you need, then you now need to start thinking about how will this software, it's going to be in a system, right? It's going to run in one system, whether it's the Linux system or Windows system, right? That is where the system thinking now comes in. Like, okay, this code that I've written, that I've deployed, you have to start thinking about the architecture where this will be running, right? And the trade-off, that the where system thinking comes in is now thinking about, do I want this to be a containerized application, or do I want this to be a serverless application, architecture, right? Like those are your trade-off. You are like first understanding the problem, and then that helps you to make trade-offs and decision on like, oh, let's go with serverless versus, oh, let's go with containerized application, or let's host this application on on a server, right? So system thinking, architecture, why you arrive at those decisions, and some of the trade-off that you made is definitely very important, when we're talking about, moving beyond, the first phase of, DevOps, talking about DevOps advancement, you need to have that, start having that system thinking. And of course, AI advantage. AI is here. Every organization that I've worked in the past 2 years now, everyone is talking about how can you use AI, how can you leverage AI to deliver fast, to deliver fast, to build secure system, also to like monitor efficiently, and also to like cut cost, right? So I see them as an advantage, right? You can use AI with judgment, of course. AI can generate things, but you still are the one that produce the outcome, right? So in this 2026, we have to like start thinking about how am I, leveraging AI in what I'm doing, either to understand the system or to build on these core skills that we talk about in number one, all right, or even whether to like be curious and start asking questions around system thinking, around architecture, around trade-offs. Like, okay, I'm making this decision, using AI to like be the judge in like, okay, this will be the best solution for this particular scenario, having explaining the context, right? So AI can also help, in that regard. And also, when we talk about, advancement, Now is where you really need a proof of, what you can do and what you can deliver. And honestly, in every organization, there are some low-hanging fruits projects or task or business need that might not be that hefty as compared to others that really, really, really matter to the leadership. Uh, so I think going, advancing in DevOps in our career in this space also now start to require like I need to go beyond, oh, I want to deploy EC2, I want to learn how to do VPC, but start thinking about what are the projects that really matters to to the leadership, you know, does it involve like cutting costs? How can I help them to cut their AWS, bill, or how can I build a project that will showcase me or position me as an expert in, building a secured application or deploying a secured infrastructure, right? So that is where you start thinking about, the proof of work. What are the type of work that you think it really matters, that, organization would definitely want to bring you in to come and solve those problems if you are still in your, entry level or role. And of course, you've done all this great job, you've had the skills, you've applied system thinking, you've leveraged AI, and now you are working on a very, solid project that is making business impact. Then you can't just say, "Oh, I will let my work to speak for itself," which is one of the things that affected me a little bit at the early stage. I was just like working and doing all those things, but gaining visibilities, whether you are still an entry level, you are looking for your role, like solving a problem, you know, writing about it, posting about it, and like even inviting people to like, hey, have you solved similar problem before? What was your approach? Like inviting people to like, to your solution and to even like get feedback and improve on stuff. That is how you gain visibilities, and there is a lot of platform where you can use that, do that right now. I for me, I'm comfortable with LinkedIn. I know people use X or the whole Twitter for that, but I'm just very much comfortable with LinkedIn. And try to like document my process and also like get people feedback and then continue to grow from there. Those feasibilities are what really, really matters, right? When hiring manager look into your profile, they just don't like look into your profile, they also look into like what are you commenting on, what are the things you are talking about, your post, maybe you post about a problem you solve, and it might not be a direct replica of the problem that they are currently solving, but they can infer that, oh, if this person can handle this kind of like level of complexity project, I'm very sure they will be able to, also, learn on the job and, being able to like, make the similar impact, right? So visibilities really matter. So once you've done this good job, you definitely need, a way to circulate for people to know that you can do this, right? So I'm going to move, to the next one. Uh, so here I was really like trying to like get into, how you can build, those DevOps competency the right way, right? Because one thing I noticed, and this happened, to many of us as we are trying to like explore this part, you know, you just don't go and start learning random list of tools like, oh, I saw GitHub Actions, oh, ADO is what is running, oh, infrastructure as code, Terraform, and you just like keep piling up those tools and just piling up those certification, but without having the understanding of these old DevOps things, right? There is a delivery workflow. So you just don't want to understand just one part of it. Even if you just pick one tool in each of these workflow that I'm showing here, just pick one on each of those workflow and have a complete understanding of how all of that works together. It will make a holistic you know scenario that can help you, when you are maybe interviewing, or even when you are like, packaging your documentation for promotion, right? I have that experience in my company. The way we do promotion is that you actually prepare a deck like this, and you will like present your case why you think you should be promoted. So where you'll be talking about what you've done, the business impact that you've made, and the feedback that people have given you and all of that, right? So I want you to look into this slide. Yes, tools really matter. I'm not saying don't learn the tools, but what I'm saying is that uh, try to understand the workflow. Like that is where it actually like give you meaning. So for code, is it GitHub that you're learning? Is it Bash scripting that that can help you? Is it Terraform? Or is it Python that you understand, that can help you to check that list when it comes to the code side? And the build part, GitHub, Git, and all of that, you know, testing, what are the tools that that can help you to test, uh, you know, your code, automated test in the pipeline. How does it work, right? And then if you want to deploy, how do I deploy? Where do I deploy? You can pick a tools. GitHub Actions is very popular now. ADO is also popular, and these things you can learn, you can leverage, across those, the similarities. And then you're talking about, the CI/CD, and of course the agentic AI. Now you have started thinking, how am I adding, agentic AI, not just from the at the towards the end, but even from the beginning. Before I run my Terraform plan, I want an agentic AI that can help me scan the code. I will even let me know even before Terraform plan runs and fail. It can quickly give me feedback that, hey, you are missing this thing here. The Terraform plan is going to fail. And so that helps you to quickly fix, problem before you push code to the pipeline, and then you wait for another 10 or 15 minutes and realize that, oh wow, this thing failed. But what if you have, an AI capability or skill that can even help you to like, validate and confirm all of that before you push it to the code. And of course, monitoring and troubleshooting. Those are the competency that you really need, that I believe every organization need. People that know this thing and know it so well and can deliver confidently. So as I said, oh, somebody said I stopped sharing my screen. Can you all still see my screen? Hello.
Not yet.
Oh, sorry about that. Something must have happened there. Let me reshare. Share my entire screen. And can you all see my screen now?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so speaking about the proof, right? We talk about having a proof of work that will make you come across as someone that is competent and can deliver, the business impact. So where my head is with this slide is to consider, the range of people that might be in this call. Either you are entry level, or either you are like thinking about transitioning, or either you are a junior engineer trying to like, step up, climb that ladder. I think beyond your daily delivery at work, I think you still need, a personal portfolio, a personal project. And I know it's a lot. Even like to solve, our day-to-day tasks alone is a lot. And weekends are not that available for you to like continue working. But I would say still try to maintain a very strong portfolio that, and if you have not started working, this is where you can really invest your time in, building a solid portfolio that will go beyond just a tutorial labs that, that guide you to how to deploy EC2 or how to, build a CI/CD. But I'm talking a portfolio that will have a problem statement. That is, you are talking about what is the problem you are solving here. And this is where you can also leverage AI, to like help you, like what are the problem that, that you think enterprise are facing when it comes to DevOps, right? And then you can now start looking into where are my options? What are my trade-offs? Like, okay, will it be a serverless solution? Will it be a containerized app? Like, do I need to involve RAG in this, or should I just like build an MCP server that can, help, to pull in those data, right? So, like, you are thinking about, you know, those decision and your trade-off and where how you arrive at that particular solution, even before you started coding at all, right? And then the next thing is now understanding your deployment workflow, right? You know, you are not just like combining everything together, you are like making it so, into different stages where you have your build stage. It shows how the software is being built and how it's being packaged and how it's being deployed, to which cloud environment you are deploying into, and even like storing the artifact of what you deploy, which is a typical workflow for every organization, that they will go through all of that and have an artifact. They have versioning of their software. They know which version is currently in production, and which next version are they currently working on to add additional features. So when you are thinking about something like that, you are adding, so much of those details to something that is very close replica to what enterprise organization have. When a recruiter reach out to you and they take a look at your GitHub, your portfolio, and they see that you check all these things, definitely that will make you to come up as a very strong candidate, right? And of course, things fail all the time. Software applications, they will fail. Like when you try something for the first time, I bet it is very rare that you will get it right the first time. So your failure scenarios, your first try, what didn't work, what later work, something that you were banging your head on and you finally realize that it was just a minor, maybe slash, something that makes you to miss that, or maybe a tab in your Python code is what makes you to miss that. Add something like that, failure scenarios. It shows that you can learn from, problem, you can debug issues easily, right? You are also talking about those architecture decisions, which also dovetail into trade-offs, right? How did you arrive at those architecture that you decided on? What are your trade-offs? What do you think, the security consideration? What are your monitoring approach? And of course, what are the lesson learned, right? So I think a stronger portfolio, having all these 8 things in place, would definitely make you to show up as a strong candidate, and someone that can actually like solve, enterprise problem that is still out there, even irrespective of AI. People still need Organizations still need human judgment in all of these things. Um, so AI, right? There's no way we can talk about all these things without like mentioning the impact of AI in this role. So I want to tell you, definitely AI can accelerate you, if you're a beginner or if you are trying to like get into this role. You can learn concepts very fast. my favorite prompt is that, explain this to me as if I'm a 5 year old. It always work. Like it will like break it down, give me different scenario, use analogy that my head can connect. So, like with I think you actually have the power in your hand. You can debug error very fast because AI can quickly spot what was the issue and can suggest, you know, it can when it comes to like documentation, it can help you at least, start with the framework of the documentation. For me, I personally always like to include pour my details into documentation because I believe documentation should be something that human being will be able to follow and use. So I just don't like let AI write it. Of course, I let AI give me the framework, of what I want to work on. And then I really pour my heart, hard screenshots, hard pictures of what it should look like. I will add all of that into my documentation. But at least for scaffolding, AI can accelerate you in that. And also, practicing for interviews and all of that. But at the same time, now junior engineers, entry level engineers, they are also racing against, competing with AI because the basic script, the basics, simple Terraform, Dockerfile, CI/CD template, that will take you time to write, to understand, or to put together. AI can spin it out like just like that, right? So the question is going beyond the basic now. The question is, how can you spot when AI is leading you in the right direction? How can you be the judge, right? Don't forget, AI will generate, output, but it's still engineer that is like creating those outcomes for, that the enterprise really need. So just want to like, highlight that. So let's give this example. you know, you prompt AI like, oh, give me Terraform code to deploy, EC2. Of course, it will produce output for you. But where your curiosity mindset comes in as an engineer, as a real engineer, then you start thinking about, you know, EC2, like should this be EC2? What if like it could be Lambda, it could be ECS? What are the security risks if I'm to go with this option, to deploy this Terraform code? You can also like start thinking about what about the availability zones? Do I have to like spread this across, multiple availability zones? How would this be monitored? Do I need to like connect it to Datadog or connect it to CloudWatch for monitoring? How can I even validate this and test this before I deploy it to production? So like those are the things that is, that is in your mind that you are being very curious as you are prompting AI, right? So it's not just like AI is giving you Terraform code to you need to like guide and guide AI. And I can share a little story around this with working with AI. I recently deliver a solution for one of our clients. They want a sandbox environment to be given to their employees so that they can explore AI, agentic AI. And I delivered that. And one of the feedback they gave me was that, oh, we actually don't want this sandbox account to be a long live environment. So we want something that it will expire maybe after 6 months, and so that it can manage the cost. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. So I went to like, start, prompting the AI. It's like, oh, I want to add this feature. And then he was suggesting, yes, I can go ahead and do this. And I'm like, wait a minute. This solution you're proposing seems a little bit, tightly coupled to me. Like there's a lot of dependency and all of that. And then when I prompt him with that, he's like, yes, you're right. These new features should not be part of this stack. This should be part of a separate stack that you can deploy maybe in the AWS organization. That once you provision the sandbox and then you kick off the pipeline that will create the DynamoDB table that will have the time to live of 6 months, and then that will be attached to that new environment that you create, so that when it is 6 months, Dynamo DB table, finish that time to leave, it triggers an event bridge that will actually decommission the account. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That is definitely a better solution. But just imagine if I've just like stay there and I'm like, oh, this guy is suggesting I should just add that features. And then the Terraform, there will be a lot of like what we call, cycle Terraform, like just like really like cycling, because it's depending on something that's supposed to be available, but it's still waiting for it to be deployed. And now, it will even take me like a day or two to realize that, oh, wow, that is a waste of my time, and then, retrace my step. But being able to be a judge in that situation, I'm like, hey, I see a tightly coupled solution here. Like, walk me through your process. And then, of course, he apologized, like, oh, I'm sorry. This is how, and I'm like, yeah, this is a better one. And then started to like guide again to, continue work. So just to like give you a real world example of these things. So I'm going to wrap up here. What I believe that things that really help me, identifying important work like business value that really translates into outcome. And of course, being resourceful, being able to like investigate, escalate things on your own, and definitely having that human factor. Once you get some work done, you build something good, you need to get other people to know about what you build, and getting that feasibilities across, whether within the organization or even outside of organization. And you need to know how to tell your story, right? Because people will just think what you did is just, a simple thing. But if you know how you can tell a story, which is the example that I give here, like we say, oh, I updated the STD bucket in our organization with VPC endpoint. That doesn't really like sound like anything to me. But if you said, oh, I improve our AWS security posture by enabling private access to the storage, STD storage, reducing public internet dependency. Like definitely that makes sense to a CEO or a CTO about what you did. Like, wow, okay, because they hear those good work, like security posture, private access, reducing public internet dependency. Like those are the way you can like story tell your impact, so that you just don't like say, oh, I updated STD bucket with VPC endpoint. That doesn't really like show business impact. So here is thing I would say, maybe you can screenshot this. Um, so this is the blueprint that I believe it worked for me. It's still working for me because I'm still continuing to grow in my career. Building that core competency, learn the workflow. Build a system thinking project, right? And using AI wisely. And staying genuinely curious. Curiosity is what will help you to keep going, and definitely you need to learn how to like tell a better story, how to make your work, your impact come across well with others, so that they can actually see that you can deliver, you can solve the problem. And of course, build relationships. It is people that will speak for you where you where you are not in that room, right? So when you build relationship, people can speak about your expertise, about your competency, and that is how you get promoted, and that is how you get a job. So make that your impact visible, and the rest will be a good one for you in your career. So this is where I will stop. I will pause here for question, and so I'm here. Let me know what you think.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Muyiwa, for this amazing session. Thank you. I believe that this has really been an insightful one and comprehensive. Thank you. Thank you. We really do appreciate. It's a great one. However, I don't know if you can maybe share your slides with us later on, because at some point the screen stops sharing again. So I don't want to distract you a lot. That was why I think. So please, would like you to just share that with us so we can forward to our attendees as well. Thank you so much. So we're going to get into the Q&A session right now. And we have some few questions here, some of which you have already covered, but maybe some people would still need some further deep dive into it, basically. Okay. So the first question says, if someone attended this webinar today and wanted to move beyond junior roles within the next 12 months, of course, you've talked about, I will just skip this. You talked about this already. Someone says, how do I know problems faced by enterprises to solve and showcase on LinkedIn as an entry-level stage? Any tips? We'll start with that.
Yes. And I will tell you my trick. Most organization, even when you're starting, I would say this is where you can use interviews. So most organization, they have this thing they call like, take home assignments or like a project that sometimes is like a mini issue of like what they are currently working on. And they will give it out to, during the interview, try to like see how you're thinking about, problem. So I do a lot of that, like collect, those details. So interviewing is another opportunity that can help you to understand, the business need, the enterprise need. You can ask them questions. So for every interview, I always ask this question, like, if I'm to be hired in the next and come on board in the next 90 days on my new role, what is that one project that you think it will be impactful for me to start, hit the ground and start working on? They will always tell you like, oh yeah, we are working on, onboarding users right now is difficult. So we are thinking about implementing Jira, or we are thinking about, modernizing our application because the version that we have right now is old. We want to move to a new Java, which means we will need a new pipeline. So like you are getting those information, you are like, picking their brain. So interviews is one point. Other one that I would say is having a mentor, right? Like meeting with someone that, handles something like this day to day. They don't need to go into details, right? They can just tell you like, oh, a similar product that I've worked on was this. You can from that conversation, you can try to build, a distill, not so like production level, solution for something like that. So I would say mentor, meeting with people that are already in that space, share what can just, can I grab a coffee with you? And during that time, you are asking questions like, what is something you are working on now? Uh, they can share you. They don't have to go into details, and you can like, oh, that can give you an idea, and then you start, working on something like that. So those are the two ways that I would say will help you to really like understand what are the problem that enterprise are facing and they need people to solve.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. I hope that answers the question of whoever asked. Okay, so the next one is, this person says, is maintaining reliability or redundancy the bedrock of SRE?
SRE, definitely reliability is the core, right? So the whole SRE concept is that maybe your organization is providing an application for others. Let's say it's a B2B, right? There's other organization that is using your application. When they buy your application, there's always an agreement with them, and you will tell them, we call it SLA, service level agreement, and SLO, which service level objectives. And what that will say is that, oh, once you have our application, it will be available at least for this. We are committing to making sure that our application is available and running for like 99.99 something, in a year, right? So the goal of the SRE is to make sure that they are meeting that service level agreement that our organization has signed with other organizations that are using your application. So reliability is the pillar, right? Reliability is the main thing that you are focusing on, and that is why it's different from DevOps, right? DevOps is more like, you are delivering the software, you are, writing the pipeline, monitoring it, but SRE really focus on making sure you are looking into your uptime, that your application is up and running at all the time and is meeting that service level agreement that your organization has signed, for other clients that they are serving. So yeah, I think that answers your question.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so this person is asking, as a developer, at what point does it make sense to move toward DevOps instead of remaining purely in software engineering?
Yeah, that is a good one. Um, I think the world is like, collapsing and everything is, becoming more integrated these days. And as I said, DevOps is a marriage of two worlds, right? The development and the operation. For people like me, I came from the operation side of things to DevOps. I won't say I'm very strong at coding, and I can definitely, like, basic Python scripts, Lambda, Python, and all of that. But when it's like come to like building a software from scratch, and like adding database and the backend and all those things, that is not my area, right? So it depends on your level of expertise, right? If you feel like, I want to go beyond just like building my application. I also want to know how my application is being delivered and is being operationalized. And then at that point, I would say, yeah, explore DevOps, right? Because now you don't only understand how your code works, you also understand how your code works in operation, right? Not just on your laptop or on this, but you also understand how it can work across any system, Linux system, Windows, So that is when you can say, yes, I want to explore other DevOps role. But I wouldn't say there's a timeline. It depends on your, level of skills and involvement in the software. If you feel like you've really, really mastered and you've explored software engineering and you want to go beyond, that you want to understand how your code software is being run, yeah, definitely explore DevOps further.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so just two more questions before we go. So this person is saying, looking back, what would you have done differently if you were starting your career again? And I would merge it with this one. How do I know whether DevOps is truly a good fit for me before investing months into learning it?
How can you know if DevOps is truly for you, and what would I have done differently?
Differently if you were starting
Yeah,
your career from afresh? Yes.
very good question. A lot has changed when I started my career. I started my career in tech back in Nigeria. Was where I first like fell in love with IT and all of that. And then when I moved to the States, I resurrected that interest. And then I was just curious, like meeting with people, like, hey, I'm exploring this role. And I was privileged to meet with people that, guide me. One of the people that I actually met was Bemi Sola Ojo. She was also in that space at that time. And, having that conversation and like, with her, kind of like, and some others people that were in that space, kind of like, yeah, I think I can do this. I think I love it. Which is what I was talking about, building relationship with people and asking questions, right? So I think if I'm to do that again, I would definitely still lean on people, lean on community, lean on people that have gone ahead of me to learn from them and then, to really like come into like, decision. And I will tell you this is something that happened to me. I was really like thinking like, will this DevOps thing be something that will worth it? But I met with someone from my community, from my church, actually two guys. One of them is a software engineer at Wayfair. Is a team lead at that time, and one of them was the other person was doing their PhD. And I remember we were just having we were having lunch together, and then I bring it up to them like, hey, there's this training that I'm gonna do for 12 weeks. It's all about tech, and I was trying to get their advice. And one thing they told me is that honestly, there's no harm in trying. Like even if you feel like you went ahead to get this training, and in the long run you feel like, no, I don't think this is thing for me. No knowledge is wasted. One way or the other, there will still be a way that you might still leverage that knowledge, either to build personal stuff for yourself, build a website for your wife, or like whatever it is. No knowledge will be wasted. That was what they told me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. And then I did. It was a 12, 15 weeks training, and that was it. After that, after the training, I got my first job and then my second job, and and here I am today. So I would say you won't know whether something is for you until you actually give it a try. And not afraid of failure is also something that I think I would do more, when I'm starting, because I think I was really beating myself up about like, what if this doesn't work? But just, give it a try, go for it, you know, even if everything didn't work as expected, but I'm very sure something has changed in you. You've been able to, solve a problem that might not be a DevOps problem at this time, but there's a skill in you that, all this training will help you, which I know Cloud Booster do very good well, because I'm also an instructor and I've also helped to develop their curriculum. So I know what they are, you know, teaching people is not something that randomly a YouTube person will give you, but these are like, vetted enterprise problem that, they incorporate into their training. So I would say, if to what I would do again, or I've done better, is to honestly to be a little bit soft on myself, not to be too hard on myself, and just give myself a chance to fail, right? And just like go for it, because in the long run it worked out, and I really love it. I won't lie to you, I really love my life. I love the flexibility that this job has given me, and being able to just provide for my family, and be comfortable, and also support people back home is been awesome. But if I didn't take that step of faith and just like go for it, like allow myself to fail, I wouldn't, it will end up in success. So instead of you asking yourself like, what if this fail, I think you should start asking yourself, what if this actually like end up to be successful? What if I actually like end up to like be a DevOps engineer? What if I actually like end up to like, work in that, organization that I want? Start, having that kind of thought. I think it will really help. I think that's probably one of the things I would have, done better, doing when I was starting.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. So this is like the final question. This is the final question. You touched on that a bit while you were answering the other question, but I'll just like to um, um, allow you to touch on that again. What's the biggest reason you see people fail to transition into tech, even after taking the courses? Like they've attended the program, you said you attended a 15 weeks program as well. But at the end of the day, some people would still not, be able to make that bold move into being committed into transitioning into tech till they get their job.
Hmm. Yes, and I wouldn't just like fly over it and just say like that uh grace doesn't also work here. I think there is favor aspect. There's if you call it luck, but I think for me as a believer, I know it was more of grace of God and favor. Being the right time, the right timing, like things, were orchestrated. For me, it was literally as if, God has gone ahead of me to like make that part, for me. But of course, there's also like work on my side. And, we always try to be humble, which is something we need to do. But when we are sharing our story, our success story, I think it's also important where we acknowledge the place of God, we should also let people know about some of the work that we put in. It was God crowning those efforts, right? Uh, so I put in a lot of work, honestly. I think I went extra mile. And here is what I will tell you something. Let me give an example. I was in a training, I was in a call, two people, I was taking notes. Someone in that call also like took notes. And then it was my work to deliver, to write a documentation and stuff based using the notes that I took in the meeting. And someone else also took that similar note and then used that note to generate, you know, a documentation because I was away for like 2 days. I went on vacation. By the time I came back, I didn't even know that the other person has written a documentation that is I supposed to write. But of course, I use AI, but I went beyond AI, putting the effort, changing the format, had tables, had all of that, like, and guess what? I literally get to know that they've also circulated the documentation with the manager while I was away. And that was when I realized that, oh, we have a two version of the same documentation. And guess what? When I read theirs, I saw that it was exactly the first output that the AI generated that I created, that it was like similarly same replica to what they sent to the manager while I was away. So what distinguished me from that documentation that person puts is like not stopping at the first iteration, but being able to like really put my heart, go beyond the surface level, the first draft or the first work, paying attention to details and keeping all of that, having that human factor in it. And then, my documentation ended up to be the one that, the manager said like, oh, sorry, I think we'll go with Muiwa. I really like the way he added some color and tables in that, Of course, the tax was assigned to me anyway, was just because I was away for 2 days. So I share that story to say, you know, I think whatever we do at all, like we really need to commit, go beyond what an average person will, where they will stop. I would say push yourself from like, what else can I do? Like, okay, this is my best. This is what I've worked on, but can it get better? And I think that is always the question I ask myself before I say, oh, I'm sending this to my manager or I'm delivering this solution. I'm going over it again. Like, how could it get better? Right. I would say definitely, being in that mindset will really, 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 really help you as you move on. So I would say those are the criterias, the qualities, that help me, to really like transition, at that early stage. Um, you know, just going beyond the surface, what a typical, because we are competing with a lot of people. You need to find a way to stand out. So question you should ask yourself is like, would this make me to stand out? If I'm the hiring manager, will I actually hire me? Will I actually hire myself? Because it's all about bringing people to join a team, and you are spending 40 hours of of your week with these people, with your team. So employers always take time to like, who they are bringing in, because you are spending a lot of your time with your team. So you want to work with someone that will make your life easy, not someone that you be like, oh, I'm going to that work to meet that person again. So all of these things are what is being taken care of before they hire you. So I would say have that at the back of your mind as well as you navigate this journey.
Wow, thank you so much, Miwa, for this session. It's really been an insightful one, and everyone will be able to agree with me that this was really a very timely one for people who are at that path of transitioning into tech. Please, everyone, can we celebrate Miwa for this amazing session? Can we celebrate him? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything that you've talked about and help how people can basically, make the decision to transition and also get to stay on the journey, because it's not just about watching courses online, paying to join trainings and all of those things. At the end of the day, the work is still on you. The onus is still on you to put in the work that will help you to stand out. Thank you. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate your time. Okay, so we've come to the end of today's webinar. But before we go, if you would like to speak to our program advisors, like Mewa was also mentioned during the course of this session, he talked about the fact that we are here, Cloudbuster is here to help you transition into tech. All right. So if you are making that decision to transition into tech and you want to reach out to our program advisor, ensure that you just click on this link that will be pasted. Okay, it's already been pasted in the chat box. So please and please do well to just click on that link or copy out the number as it is in the chat box already to reach out to our program advisors. They will be able to take, advise you on the pathways that is, you can sign up for, whether it's the cloud, DevOps, SRE, platform engineer. I'm sure that they will be able to guide you on that. Okay, so do well to reach out to our program advisors and they will take you on that journey. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.